right now we have two things to take care of. One is these two objects here, the player starting point and the avatar proxy. We need them in our scene here in 3D Studio Max, but in the game they should be invisible. To do that, let's bring up the component manager and add a new component, ignore no show, and rename that to don't show object. Select the avatar proxy, also select the dummy starting point. You can select multiple objects by holding down the control key on your keyboard and then attach to selected objects. And then there's one more problem. If we try to link into this edge as it is right now, everything will be pitch black because we haven't set up any lighting yet. What you need to keep in mind is that you need two different kinds of lights to light up your scene. One is standard 3D Studio Max lights. They light up all the static objects in your scene, the objects that don't move, for example, the floor in this scene. Then there are also special real-time lights from the Plasma plugin that light up objects like the avatar, or in this case the box, because that is also a dynamic object. So always keep in mind that you need to set up two layers of lighting. Let's start with the 3D Max lights. Go to the Create panel, Lights, and select Standard from the drop-down list and go to Omni Light. Just click anywhere in the scene to create the light and move it up a little bit. Let's rename it. You can hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and move the light along one of its axes to copy it. And light Omni to okay. So these are the lights that light up the static parts of your scene. Now let's change to Plasma Runtime and choose a directional light. Click somewhere in the scene and move it up. Also scale it down a little bit to make the icon a little bit smaller. This light now distributes an even light coming from the top of your scene onto all the dynamic objects, the avatar, the box, all the dynamic parts of your scene. Let's call that light real-time directional 1. Also, don't forget, you will forget this very often, I can tell you, select the light objects, 1, 2, 3, bring up the component manager, go to the page info and attach the page info to these objects. And I think that's it. Let's just bring up the object selection dialog by hitting H on the keyboard to see whether everything is named correctly. We have our dummy for the starting point, we have our 3 lights, the avatar proxy, the box, and which is our floor, and the physics box. Okay, let's export it then. First save your scene, then bring up the export, Plasma export dialog. It is under Files, Plasma export, all pages export. Everything should work fine. If there is an error, it's very likely that you forgot to put one of the objects into the page info component. Let's bring up Drizzle. Make sure that you have the correct age name selected from the output directory, click Convert, and then finally start up Euro. When you have created a new age and you want to link to it for the very first time, you must do this from your Nexus. So go to the bookshelf, get the Nexus book and link to the Nexus. You only need to do this once. Connect to the Nexus using your KI. And you will find your age under the Restoration Links tab, and here it is, Test Age. Click on it, get the book, and link to it for the very first time. Fingers crossed. Let's switch to third-person perspective. First, you can see that you don't see the avatar proxy, and also you can't see the starting point object. We can walk along our floor here, and now let's test the physics object. Let's just run into it, and as you can see, it moves correctly. And that is basically the end of this tutorial. By the way, you can link now to your age using the /link command and then type in the name of your age. Let's link back to Relto. If you now type /link test age and hit return, everything should be set up again.